Morning Stampers, I'm Meg from Loven Stamps and you are joining me for Maker Mornings with Meg. So happy to see you. So today's card is another feature of the Citrus Blooms stamp set. I just adore this stamp set, probably because when I see the stamps, I always think of the designer series paper, and I love the colors in this. They're super saturated, super bright, and here they are, orange and blue. I didn't show the back sides last time I showed these. They are a lot of fun with these cool Mediterranean tile patterns. And in fact, the suite is called Mediterranean Blooms. So we have Citrus Bloom stamps and then coordinating dies. And today's video is packed. Literally, I do not know how I'm gonna fit this in our normal time, but we have Stampin Blends, we have die cutting, we have a fun fold card, we have applying ribbon in a fun pattern, how to do that easily, we have brayering, and we have hybrid embossed die cuts. So with that, I think we better get started. So as included in one of the monthly tutorials for the LovenStamps Monthly Tutorials, the directions and cutting and all the things are in a PDF that you get from me as a thank you for placing an order with me this month. So if you haven't placed your order yet to get the PDF, make sure you do that sometime soon. But this card is also, I just pulled it out of a cello to remind me to tell you that this is one of the 2 card kits that you're going to get. If your order is $50 or more, you get the 2 of the cards as a kit to make at home, and the other one is going to be this card here. So a really fun option also. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about our, we're going to do a Z-fold card. So let's talk about the pieces for that. This is a half sheet of cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5. And again, I give you all the information here in the video tutorial, but if you want this PDF, the printable version, then all you have to do is order in my online store. If you're outside the US, I do post these later on my on my Etsy shop, and you can order the tutorials there. So, all right, so I find for a Z-fold card that it is the easiest to just start with a half sheet of cardstock. You're gonna score it at 4 1/4 and at 2 1/8. So measuring from this way, 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So basically, it's just in half and in half again. And then once you've got all the scoring done, go back and cut this down to, you're gonna cut off 1 1/4 inches, which gives you 4 1/4 on this side, which means you can easily fit a 4-inch piece of designer series paper. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's go ahead and cut that strip off. And now we're gonna use both of these strips in our project, okay? Now the hardest thing about this card is getting it figured out, like as far as where you put your pieces, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna fold these both together, and then I'm gonna show you the flip, super easy. So I'm folding them in half on the score line, okay? I'm gonna fold the front back on the score line, and then, okay, here's where the flip comes in. See how they're both oriented the same direction right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this part and put it right over there. So I'm gonna flip it over, upside down, and lay it down right there. Now, we have a Z-fold card. You see how easy that was? Okay, seriously, I used to struggle with this all the time. That's really easy. We're gonna take here and put it kitty corner upside down. So right here, flip and place. Ta-da! All right, are you guys learning stuff already this morning? So let's go ahead and we're gonna glue this down first. So I'm gonna, without moving it, I'm gonna just flip it over and so that I can get glue on here. And multi-purpose liquid glue is great for this. You could also use Tear Tape, or you could use Seal Plus. Any of the strong adhesives would be a good choice. So now I'm gonna give this a second to grab, and then I'm gonna tell you I have 2 pieces cut from our designer series paper. They are each 2 inches by 4 inches, which is the magic size to go ahead and pop on right here. And then I'm gonna slide this one in right here so that when our card is closed, they meet pretty close to the middle here, okay? All right, or close enough to the middle. We'll pretend that they're meeting exactly in the middle, but not too bad. So let's go ahead and flip these over. Ooh, I love the lemons on the back. This is one of those papers where I have a hard time covering everything up. So if you, by adhering layers, I mean. So if you're one of those people, the LovenStamps blog has lots and lots, thousands actually, of projects on it. And you can go back and you can visit my gallery and see what ideas you find there. There are a number for designer series paper where you don't have to cover up the back of the card or back of the paper. So those always make me happy. All right, so now we have our card mechanism here. We have so many more parts to this tutorial though. We have a focal point. Let's do our greeting here. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp here. And the stamps included in Citrus Blooms are some really great messages. We have both on the same block here. I must not have had another one handy at the moment. I have this "You're the best kind of person" and this fun little embellishment here. So let's put this one, here. And then I'm gonna take this little, I don't know, what are those little squares called? Sort of an accessory image, and stamp them down there. This piece is 2x4 also. And so now all I have to do is add a little adhesive here, and I can flip this and slide it inside our card. And right up to the edge there. We'll just match that and pop that down. Okay. All right, and now we have our greeting here on the inside of our card, okay? This is one of those cards where there's not a ton of space to write a message, so you're gonna have to write carefully in there, and you might consider writing it before you put that layer inside, so depending on how much you have to write. All right, now we're gonna bring in our basic white cardstock, and I'm gonna go ahead and stamp, and I've picked Early Espresso as my background, my stamping color here for our orange. We're gonna color this one here. And I promised you guys that I do color these with Stampin Blends sometimes. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna Stampin Blends this one together. So I've got my markers here. Let me get them kind of in order so that they're a little easier to see. We've got pumpkin pie, we've got pecan pie, we've got lemon lime twist, we've got old olive, and daffodil delight as our colors here. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you all in so you can see a little bit better. There we go. And let's go ahead and start adding some color. So for this one, I actually really like starting with the lemon, or the lemon, starting with the yellow. And we're gonna do our flowers, we're gonna do our orange, we're gonna give this whole thing a light coat of daffodil. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I really like the way the colors layer when you have an extra bit of other color kind of underneath. And so we're gonna cover up all of the yellow that is in our orange, but having it there gives us a little bit more variety to our color tones. So, all right, we're gonna add some here to our flowers. Now I'm gonna go back with my darker of my daffodil, and I'm going to add some darker daffodil along the color here lines. Color here lines are the shadow lines that Stampin' Up! Adds to images to make it just really easy. Like, here's where a shadow goes, please add darker color here. So my darker color is gonna go right there on those, and a little bit here on these two. I'm using the bullet tip because it's just a little bit finer and a little bit more precise. And then we're gonna come back, and now we're gonna get our orange in here. So this is pumpkin pie. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this around here on our orange. Usually I kind of like to go around the edge of things. I don't know, maybe it goes back to like coloring in kindergarten or whatever. Color around the edge and then fill in the center. There are lots of color here lines on I'm gonna add some orange to the center of our flowers. There are lots of color here lines on our orange, which make it really easy. The other thing you can do when you're trying to figure out what places should be darker, shadows along the edge of other objects, like those flowers, are gonna be darker. Places on the bottom, there's kind of a dark spot in the orange here. The other thing you can do is you can go back and look at the designer series paper and see how they've shaded their orange, okay? So same thing along the edges here, there's sort of a bright spot right here. Maybe this will be our bright spot above that little area. So I'm gonna get some color there and maybe a little bit like along here. okay? With the Stampin Blends, you are layering every time you add more pigment to the card. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more dark here. I can dab along the edges. And now I'm gonna go back with my lighter tone, and I'm gonna color at the intersection between those two so that I have a chance to sort of ease that transition, okay? So now we have some lighter and some darker. And the alcohol in the marker is actually sort of resolubilizing those pigments and moving them around. So that's why we get this, again. I'm gonna go over our flowers. I think I didn't do the centers of these. So let's add just a little dark here, a little bit of darks on those. Okay, so now we have some nice variation to our color. If you want to, you can always go back and add more dark. They've got the edges of their orange quite darkly shaded here. So you can always go back and add more color with Stampin' Blends. All right, that brings us to our leaves. And same with our leaves, I really like having a nice layer of a couple different colors. So we're gonna start with Lemon Lime Twist because it's such a nice bright green. And we're going to lay down just a background shade here. And then we're gonna go back and we're gonna add some darker lemon lime, and then we're gonna add some olive to change the color just a little bit, okay? So when you're coloring something organic like this, you want your lines to sort of, someone described it to me once that you're following the grow lines of the element. So for the leaves, you're gonna follow that sort of that long line of the leaves. And one more here. Okay, so there's our first. Oh, these need to be nicely green here. And now we're gonna go back with our darker lemon lime twist, and we're gonna start to add some shading here, okay? Along the places where our leaves are encountering other objects where they're shaded, of course. So right here along our orange, maybe along those vein lines just a little bit, where the leaves shadow each other. And this orange, okay? And now we're gonna add a little bit darker tone here with our olive, and this is gonna add some extra color to our leaf. See how this is kind of bringing out some extra interest here in our leaf colors? So of course you can use these. I showed a sample, the last orange card I didn't actually use coloring at all. So you do not have to color the oranges to use this stamp set. So don't feel like, oh, I don't want to get another coloring stamp set and then not want to color it. You don't have to color this one. You can leave it uncolored entirely. And then a little darker old olive. So give our depth, just a little bit more depth even to our colors here. Okay, whoops, that I think. All right, now this one is pretty dark in contrast. So I'm gonna go back, and some of those places where there's a pretty harsh line, I'm actually gonna go back with one of our earlier colors. I think I'll do the light lemon, and I'm just gonna color just a little bit to sort of add, ease that transition. And I'm actually adding not only pigment, but I'm adding alcohol to the paper, and so that's gonna help to sort of mush the way those colors come together. So it gives you a little bit more flow to the color tones. All right, here we go. Okay, and then lastly, I'm gonna add a little bit of pecan pie. I think I'll just use the bullet tip here and run down our stem to add some color to our orange stem. There we go. All right, so now we have this fantastic element, and we have our dies here that coordinate. So I can take the coordinating die, and our paper's escaping me. Go ahead and throw this on here and add some washi tape. I think I probably I put so much time into coloring the orange, I don't really want it to slide when I do my die cutting. So, all right, let's scoot out. Oops, not in. Wow, that camera goes really far in there, doesn't it? All right, join me momentarily while I do some die cutting. I am going to just go ahead and run this through with my number 2 plate, the 1 plate, the 2 plate, and then 2 3 plates, which is going to be in contrast because we still have one more bit of die cutting to do with the hybrid embossing folder. And then, oh, I've taken this apart. I always like to reveal it for you guys. So then here is our very gorgeous die cut piece here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this onto our element, but this is where one of our extra bonus tricks comes from. I really like this, but I really want it to have a little bit more background to it, but I don't want to add another layer because I don't want to block up our card. So this is where I'm going to pull in my ribbon. Do you guys see the ribbon? Is it here on my table someplace? Okay. I'm like famous for losing things that are like within sight. Here we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and just put a length of ribbon behind here. And I really like this sort of flowy back and forth kind of effect. I'm just going to kind of turn that ribbon back and forth. And then we're going to place our orange right on top there, and it's going to get cut off like that. So now that has just a little bit of extra interest behind it. Our greening is going to go up here, but it's not overwhelming and it doesn't block the visual for our card. But it is tricky to get this ribbon on here. So what I'm going to do is show you guys my trick for that. And for this, I really like tear tape. You can also use Seal Plus. I don't love, I know, shocker, I don't actually love multi-purpose liquid glue for working with these ribbons because it goes through the ribbon. And so then you end up with like glue sticking through things. So I'd go with one of the solid adhesives. So I've got this pulled back off here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with my ribbon, and I'm going to press my ribbon into there. I'm going to fold this down, and then I'm going to fold it back up one more time. And so now our ribbon, we have it just exactly the right length for us. And we have that ribbon arranged exactly where I want it, so that now I can pop my orange blossom on the front and it stays cutely arranged. So now somebody might be wondering about this card format because it's square, and we don't have square envelopes, and you have to pay extra to mail square envelopes. So no problem. I just put it in a regular envelope. So, all right, I'm going to pop a couple Stampin' Dimensionals on here. I'm going to try and catch some places where it's hitting the cardstock and the ribbon just to cover my bases. Let's see, did I manage to hit them? There we go. Where they're all going to be covered here by our orange. So let's go ahead and pull these off. And now our orange is going to fit right there, okay? So now when we open our card, we have this super fun element that ends up sort of being part of the inside of the card because it shows when our card is open. That's how Z-fold cards work. Double Z-fold means we have this extra part here that's gonna pop out in front. So I love this. It makes me so happy. These colors make me happy too. What do you guys think? Even if you're not a University of Illinois fan, you might be orange and blue. I know there's a bunch of other schools are orange and blue. Who else is orange and blue? Syracuse maybe, and I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. I'm sure you guys know. All right, so we're done with our Stampin' Blends, but we still need a greeting to go on this. And there are some really terrific greetings in here. We've already got You're the Best Kind of Person. I love this, All the Love, and You're Checking In. This was what we used on our last Citrus Blooms card, All the Love and Just Checking In. Oh, I think this isn't the one I showed you. Well, anyway, there's 2 different versions of it to use those oranges. If you haven't seen this video tutorial where I showed you how to make the most of all the oranges, every single one, even this one is a good one, make sure you go back and watch that episode of Maker Memories with Meg. But for this one, I wanted something a little different. So we are going to bring in the Thoughtful Moments Hybrid Embossing Folder. Yay! And the crowd goes wild. I haven't used this one for a little bit, and I adore it. So when you get this, it comes in one of the clear plastic envelopes like this. There are some other little dies included, and we have this fantastic die and folder together, okay? So they are designed to be used together, and I guess you could use them separately if you wanted to. But they really work best together. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this. So what I would really love to have for our card is a greeting here that is white with some orange on it. And so what we're going to do is we are going to use a piece of basic white cardstock. And I just realized that I have not haven't cut this. We're going to use a piece of basic white cardstock, and it cut to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 because that's going to maximize our space here. That lets us use the whole folder. And to get the orange on there, I'm going to use my Stampin' Brayer. So we're going to use this and our pumpkin pie ink pad. And we are going to add the color to the embossing folder and then do our die cutting. So if you haven't seen this before, you're in for a treat. If you have, I just learned something. I had a great suggestion from Kelly Sheridan. She was watching me brayer on a meeting that we had for our LovenStamps demonstrator team recently on Zoom. And she goes, Meg, how come you brayer, like, actually she's really polite about it. She goes, Meg, don't those little feet get in the way when you're trying to brayer? Because I was brayering like this. And I said, they don't really, but they kind of do. And so her implication was that if I flipped it over this way, then the little feet are not going to be in the way. And so thank you, Kelly, for making my life better. So what I was finding is that I usually use a pretty high angle here so the feet don't go in the way. But if you flip it this way, you can use whatever the angle you want. So, all right, so ink up your brayer by always pushing in the same direction. So I always push forward and lift and forward and lift and forward and lift. It's like doing exercises, but so much easier. And then I'm going to brayer with my feet facing up, thank you, and go ahead and add some color here. Now, I just like to keep picking up color and moving it around. Turn your brayer so that you catch everything. And then I take the extra elements from these folders and I just put them in little clear envelopes, and I'll show you that in a minute. That way I always have something. Usually I've gotten quite the color collection going actually. So usually I can kind of flip through and find the color that I want without even having to break out my folder. So, all right, then I'm gonna flip this with the feet down so that it can rest without getting ink everywhere. There we go. And look how beautifully that works. All right, now next step is gonna be to take our die and place this, and usually I kind of set it on there and then just nudge it around, there we go, until it locks into place, so it's in the right place there. And then I'm gonna take my cardstock. Just be careful, you do not want your cardstock in the hinge of the folder. That is a big no-no. The folders don't like having cardstock in the hinge, so you're just gonna slide it a little bit shy of the hinge and close this. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, doesn't it, like, you know, you nudged that cardstock, Meg, when you did that, you had it move around. Does it ruin the impression? And the answer to that is happily no. So no, you don't have to worry about it too much. So we're gonna come back to our die cut machine now, and this is where I'm gonna swap out and use just the thick plate, number 1, and my 3D embossing folder with number 4. So if you forget how these work, don't panic. The directions are written on the number 1 pad there, so you can usually pretty easily figure out what you're doing. And this cuts beautifully. So when we come back, we'll have our, ready? I'll have the reveal here. We have this just like so, and we have all of these greetings die cut and colored for us. So like here is a great hello. We have a thank you, thinking of you, love you, you make me happy, all kinds of good greetings. So let me pop a couple of those out. Now this is a little bit inky, as is our frame here. So what I would do is go ahead and take the metal piece and the plastic embossing folder, and I would go ahead and just run those to the sink and just run some cool water over them. I don't even need to use soap. It's the classic inks, they come right off. And then just let those dry standing up there on the edge of the sink for a little bit, and then they're ready to go. That way I'm not getting ink everywhere. Although actually really not too much here on my hands. So we're gonna call this a win. All right, so now we have all of these greetings here to choose from. And let's see. So here is an example of how I store these. So these are actually stored from my meeting the other night. These were peacock. No, not peacock. What color was this? Lost Lagoon. This was white and Lost Lagoon. And so I just put them into one of the Stampin' Up! Clear envelopes. These come, they're super economical, a pack of 50 for not very much. And so I use them for cards, which you can mail, or I use them for storing things like this. I also use them for little gifts. So sometimes I'll pop in like some little chocolates or something and then just fold this over and put like, you know, a little tag here at the corner, and maybe a little bit more elaborate than that. But then something about having things in these cello bags makes them look fancy. So think about using those clear envelopes for something. If you don't have any, definitely add them to your next order. And there's a link in the video description for all ordering with me. So, all right, so now we need to pick a greeting. Let's see, we put "You're the best kind of person" in here. I think this card might be going to my daughter in her summer in New Mexico. So I could do "Thinking of You," or I could do "You make me happy." That might be kind of a fun one, actually. Or I could do "Love you." Actually, I like that one. I'm gonna do this one. So we're gonna send this one to her, and just as a greeting. So she's living in the backcountry with no cell phone service this summer, no internet or anything like that. So sending snail mail cards has been really fun. So I have been enjoying sending her some fun things. Now, I think we could use some embellishments on this, right? Some bling. So the bling that's included in the Mediterranean Blooms suite is the Opal Rounds assortment. And this is only the leftovers of a half a package. So you get quite a bit more in here. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop a couple of these on here. I think I'm gonna do blue just for fun. And I think she'll appreciate the orange and blue too. All right, so just a couple down there. And I really like this because it draws your eye this direction. We have this sort of line going, and that's perfect because when the card is opened, it just really draws your eye into the opening of the card. So, all right. So there is our really fun orange Citrus Blooms card featuring this fun fold here that's part of the LovenStamps Monthly Tutorials. The other cards that I've showed you so far are this one here and this one here. So tutorials for all these are included in the PDF when you place any size online order in my shop during the month of, what month is this? June. And then I have one more project to share with you for the Citrus Blooms theme. And that is going to be shared in an upcoming episode of Make Memories with Meg. It's another fun fold. And I think that you guys will really like that. It features the designer series paper too. So, all right. Well, with that, I will wish you a happy day. Hope you have a great one. As always, even if I'm pre-recorded like this video today, please leave me a comment to say hi, say where you're watching from. Let me know, what you're excited about for this suite. And I will look forward to being back in the studio with you very soon for our live videos. But otherwise, we are still on Facebook on Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, and then posting just a little bit later on YouTube each one of those days. And on the LovenStamps blog, you can always catch up on easily. You can see exactly what episodes you might have missed at LovenStamps.com, and then click on the blog tab. So. All right, guys, have a super fantastic day. Hope you have a chance to get some creativity going, get some stamping, and then mail some cards. So this one will be on its way to New Mexico soon, which reminds me, I really need to stamp some envelopes to go with this. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful day. Happy stamping.